In the last episode, Aulo decided to search for Alvone rings. Aulo and Fike travel to the searching grounds and find that all the Alvone rue have been collected from. Given that he is entertaining exile, Aulo figures he doesn't have much to lose and descends deeper into the canyon. He finds a few Alvone rings within a large crevasse. One of the Alvone is a brilliant and flawless white color. Aulo continues to descend and reaches the canyon floor. The canyon floor was exotic and peaceful, until he witnesses the flash of an unknown creature. The creature emits a series of flashes and appears to be moving closer. Aulo rapidly climbs up the canyon wall until he finds a small crevice. The creature stares at Aulo as if it's studying him. Aulo experiences true fear and finds comfort in his new Alvone ring. The creature disappears and Fike returns to retrieve Aulo. While leaving the crevice, Aulo is grazed by the slimy appendage of a predatory oyster. This solidifies how little he knows about the lands of Iorun. Fike and Aulo return safely, and Aulo sends Fike to retrieve his friend, Mo. I rest amongst the ambient buzzing and hums from outside my den, awaiting Fike's return, hopefully with Mo. I'm still troubled by the significance of this found Alvone ring. Why so brilliant compared to the other Alvones? Why have I found it now? I fixate on the Alvone's pristine and white coloration, a balance in all matters. Do these past beliefs hold truth? Does the Alvone exist to warn me of something greater to come? Or are these false ideas? My attention is redirected to the hewn cloth hanging in the entryway. The cloth moves in the breeze. I imagine a gust of wind parts the cloth, and I see the creature's reflective eyes pinning me to the wall of my den. Moments later, a gust of wind does part the cloth as two birds barrel into my den. Fike and Yoke, Mo's companion. Mo and I aligned in the nursery. He approached me, asking why I was always alone. From then on, we had each other. I always entertained his wild beliefs and thoughts. Mo told me he could fly, and at that age, I believed him. I was drawn to his sense of wonder and excitement for all things. I still am. But he and I are on different paths. He is a maker and spends most of his time with other makers, forming tools and structures. I am not a maker. I can't channel my thoughts through my hands. But our lack of time spent together is also my doing. I make myself hard to reach. Mo enters my den following Fike and Yoke's chaotic entrance. He immediately notices and comments on the Alvone ring, like no time has passed. Beaming, he says. Where from? Mo extends his hand as he approaches me. I sit up and trace my greeting into his forearm. He then grabs the Alvone for closer inspection, yanking my neck forward. Easy there, I say. I've never seen one so brilliant, Aulo. Who did you have to please? He adds jokingly. I don't respond. You seem so stiff, he says, noticing my dull behavior. Where did you find the Alvon? The shelf? Mo and I used to search for Alvon together. He knows the common searching grounds. Realizing I never answered his question, no, actually, I went down further than that. Mo continues to examine the Alvon. He whispers to himself, no dead zones. Can I hold this? He asks. I hand him the Alvon, and he manipulates the ring in his hands. I'm not sure if he heard me. Then he says, how much further? The furthest, I reply. He looks up at me. The furthest as in the canyon floor? Yeah, I confirm. The canyon floor. Why so deep? I don't know. I just kept descending until I was surrounded by flora and fauna I'd never seen before. And I became curious. Curious. You never find yourself curious? I reply. Not for the canyon floor. I have seen the creatures we scrape off our cliff walls, and I have no intent on meeting them. Yeah, well, now I know, I respond. But you were breathing, Mo says, confused. Why so stiff? What happened down there? At first, nothing. All was peaceful. I rested on a stone slab while luminescent fish swam around my feet. Fish? You saw living fish? Yeah, and they moved effortlessly through the water. But then I noticed a flash of light in the distance. Then another. And another. Each flash was closer than the one before, so I hurried up the cliff face. Had I not found a crevasse. I have always been excited by the unknown, but this feeling I'm left with, a fear of the unknown. That's why I'm so stiff. I'm not surprised, he says while rotating the Alvon in front of him. What do you mean? I've known you, Aulo. You can't keep yourself from pushing at the boundaries. I knew the boundaries would eventually push back. No longer, I respond. Aulo, you may have this fear now, but in time that fear will become questions. Questions you will want answered. He pauses and then looks at me. I wouldn't tell your father or your sister. Trust that I won't, I reply. He smiles in return. I have plans for Raifie. Would you like to join? He says while handing over the Alvon. I don't usually enjoy Raifie. It involves a lot of sitting and waiting, a combination I struggle with. But I would rather not be alone. I will join you, but I ask that we don't only speak of Raifie. The four of us traveled to Mo's den on the other side of the central plateau. During the walk, Mo spoke only of Raifie. We arrive at Mo's den, similar to mine except for an exterior space burrowed into the cliff wall. This space is where he designs and makes his many different tools. His den is as chaotic as his thoughts. I move around piles of half-made ideas. Mo calls me over to his work surface. I embrace Mo's excitement as he shows me what he's been making. "This is how it works," he says. I added multiple Alvon rings to a small Rulon pouch, and when I shake the pouch, it makes noise. Like this. He shakes the Rulon in my face. It makes noise. The noises should attract flyers, and they will be hooked by these sharpened half rings coming from the side of the pouch. I see. But Fike and Yoke won't get hooked? No, they have beaks. It should only hook creatures with soft lips, like us. Mo, Yoke, Fike, and I travel to Mo's frequent Raifi site. We arrive at a length of yun rope that stretches from the central plateau to an outer plateau. Mo and I traverse the rope until we reach a small woven yun platform, barely large enough for the two of us. We lower ourselves onto the platform and rest with our feet dangling over the abyss. While Mo prepares his new tool, I ask a nagging question. The others avoid me. Why don't you? He takes a moment to respond. Our backs are pressed together, so I can't read his expression. Because I know you will find yourself in time. What makes you so sure? I ask. All you speak of is seeking answers that will benefit our group. I'm just waiting until you find what that means to you. Mo casts his tool into the abyss. He offers me a line, but I refuse. I'd rather watch. We rest in silence for some time. Mo hums flute music while he waits for a snag. But I break the silence. Group Mother and I spoke. She offered me 2 roles. I believe it, he says. I continue. One choice to train for Roke. The other to train for Rai. Train for Rai, he says. But you are not selected. Or a child. I was selected. Tokun knew about it and denied the request, without me ever knowing. I see, Mo says. But it must be too late for you to train Rai now. Group Mother said I would be the exception, because the opportunity was taken from me. Sounds like you have it all figured out, he says while raising and lowering his line. But there is still my father. He will stand against it. No matter the decision, I am disappointing someone. And I don't feel that I align with either role. Mo is silent for a moment. So this is why you tried to sacrifice yourself to the canyon floor. I laugh. Humor aside, I need an opinion. An opinion that isn't involved. I'm not you, Aulo. Both seem like ideal choices to me. I'm sure you will align with a choice in time. Fike and Yoke begin to tussle midair. Quit it, Mo says. You two are scaring my meal. They land on the platform and crowd our limited space. I spit tail feathers from my mouth before saying, it was incredible down there. On the canyon floor? No response. As terrifying as it was, I am amazed that a creature can produce bright flashes. Aulo, give the seeking a rest. I know, but it was so different than I expected. And that's just the canyon floor. Don't you want to know what else is out there? Beyond? No, actually. I'm fine up here. I enjoy the way things are. Don't want to ruin what I have going. I just want to know more, without the threat of death. Your mother documented the travels. That would be a good place to start, Mo replies. Yeah, but she kept it all in one place. And I have no idea where that place is. I doubt anyone would tell me either. I might know somewhere promising, he says. What do you mean? When I was scouting new locations for Rai Fie, of course, I add, I found a ropeless mount. The same as the mounts we use to tether between the other plateaus. Where there is one rope mount, there is usually another on the other side of the gap. I am intrigued by what he is saying. You believe there is another plateau? Aulo, you have scoured every part of the Jundun in search of your mother's works. What if they aren't within the Jundun at all? With all my thoughts, how did I never think of this? Just because the plateau isn't shown on Jundun maps doesn't mean it isn't there. It could be intentional. Mo, you must take me there. No. Let me stop you. The mount is beneath a roque outpost. I have too much to lose if I get caught. You, however... I try to ignore the subtle jab. All right, I see. Where is the mount? They will see you if you bring your laun, Mo says. He's right. How am I supposed to traverse an open gap in complete darkness? I replied, defeated. I have a thought, he says, beginning to gather his tools. Are we leaving now? You didn't catch anything. He turns to me and says, we both know I rarely catch anything. The four of us travel to Mo's den. Upon return, he retrieves a specific tool from one of the piles. Organized chaos. The tool is tethered to the end of a long yun rope. What is the idea? I ask. He displays the tool in front of me and says, it is designed to get caught between the stones. Once it is caught, you tie the other end of the mount and traverse the rope. I see, but how do I get this tool to the end of the other plateau? Mo gestures to Fike. Fike's beady eyes look up at us. Mo then hands me the tool. I value, I say to him. He nods in response. Move along the perimeter path opposite the bathing pools. After passing vertical farms of Yunru, you will come across a mount protruding from the wall, hard to miss. Travel when the air warms and others are returning to their dens. I move to gather my items. Before you leave, Mo adds, I want to see something. Mo digs through a pile until he retrieves 2 yun cloths. He hands me one and then snuffs his laun. I follow along and snuff mine. The den is cast into complete darkness, except for a soft white glow to my side. I feel Mo tug the glowing object from my clothing, and it beams volumes of light throughout the space. I knew the Alvon was brilliant, but not this brilliant. The Alvon dangles from Mo's finger, moving shadows while it sways. I am mesmerized. The birds are mesmerized too, standing silent with their heads tilted toward the light. I have never found an Alvon that reaches a fraction of this brightness. No one has. Aulo, you have found something truly special. With an Alvon this brilliant, you don't even need a Laum. I reach for the Alvon and he pulls away. I have an idea, he says. I send him a look of annoyance. Trust me, I'm a maker. Let me make you something. Not to mention, the Alvon is far too bright for you to bring on your search. You would be seen from plateaus away. He is not wrong. Keep the Alvon for now, but don't get too attached. I extend my hand, and Mo traces a farewell onto my forearm.